Welcome back to Roosevelt Live. This segment of the show, we're going to talk about a topic that we have talked about over and over again. Sometimes it seems like I'm talking about the same topic, so I'm not. But since the things keep coming up, there's a guy by the name of Thomas Hainsworth that spent 27 years in prison, went in at 18 and got out at 46 for a rape that he did not commit. Somebody might think I'm repeating. It sounds redundant, doesn't it? Because I have these shows every now and then, but every time I hear one, I just feel a need to go back and bring it up because the same thing keeps happening. He was exonerated once again by DNA. So I keep saying, if this is the case, we have to do. Obviously, eyewitnesses' testimony does not work because the lady was convinced. I saw the interview. I heard the interview. I read about the interview. The lady was convinced that he was the one. She was 100% sure. Now she's having little issues because she knows now not only he lost 27 years, but that means the person that raped her perhaps is still out there, maybe raping other people. If they haven't already passed away or something, it's still out there. So not only she's a victim all over again, because when she thought maybe that the person that did it to her was doing time and never had to worry about it, find out that not only is not doing time, the person was never even caught. This guy was sentenced to 160 years. That's a long. Now I have to be careful when I say this because I don't want any female out there to get the wrong impression of this statement. But I'm having a hard time trying to figure out people going to jail for murder, getting 10 years and 12 years. We need to extend the murder charges to reflect what it has done. 160 years. No one is downplaying somebody being sexually assaulted by no stretch of the imagination. That's not where I'm going with this. It may seem like it, but it's not. I'm saying that if you can get 160 years for sexual assault, you definitely have to get 160 years for murdering people. We can't be letting people out of jail after 10 and 12, 15 years for murdering people. We know how heinous of a crime is sexual assault on women, and to the point that we're giving people over 100 years, 40 years, 30 years, 50 years for rape, and they deserve it, but they also deserve those same number of years when they're killing people. That's all I'm saying. We have to make the punishment fit the crime. And a lot of people are committing murders, and they're getting out in 10 years, 7 years. I just think that's wrong. But we got to do something about these people that keep going to jail. I don't understand why the government just don't make it clear. If you've been accused of any type of crime, violent crime, whether it be murder or rape, I know sometimes in murder cases there's no DNA because it depends on what happened, this and the other. But where there is a DNA, then we need to simply not just go to trial and have a prosecutor try to get brownie points and try to build up their career by putting the stuff in the mind of the jurors to make the jurors believe that these people are guilty of things, the crime they didn't commit. Everybody knows that when you go to jail, from what I've heard, obviously I've never been to prison, I have no desire to go or anything else, but everybody that at least I've heard that rapists and child molesters are the worst people. It's treated the worst when they're in prison. Here's a guy goes in for 27 years for a rape that he didn't commit, and the prison alone must have been rough, but to be deemed a rapist is even worse. There's not any money in the world that can clear up this problem. Even if he gets totally exonerated and have that wiped off his record, still can't give back those 27 years. They still gone from 18 to 46. Wow. That's a long time. That's a long time to be on the lockdown for a crime you didn't commit. Thank goodness for DNA and being exonerated. But this should tell the government at some point, we got to change the system. Anytime there's DNA, it should be an automatic testing of the DNA. Because it's too many mistakes being made. And even though these people, they've been traumatized by being sexually assaulted, raped, and then they're trying to pick these people out. And they believe that these people are the ones. And clearly this guy was not the one. And he's not the only one that haven't been the one. And I just think that a new system, it's time, America, for a new system. It's time to stop putting people in these prisons for all these years for crimes they didn't commit. And God forbid, who knows how many people before DNA became a tool that has gone to prison and have died in prison and maybe even been executed for crimes that they didn't commit. And they had to go through that torture knowing that they was innocent the whole time, being deprived of their life. At 18, you're deprived of an opportunity for an education. You're deprived of an opportunity to maybe one day get married and have kids, even though he's 46 now, but still. when you lock down in those informative years between, from 19 to 45, basically those are not, I'm not saying all informative years, but the point is that things were taken away from him, things that he would have had access to if not being incarcerated for 27 years for a crime you didn't commit. I don't care how much money you give a person, it can't fix the problem. It's not like you can add 27 years onto their life, and even if you did, it'll just be 27 years, maybe even older than what they are. You can't take them back to the moment of 18 and give them their 27 years back. It cannot happen. So I just think that it's a no-brainer to me. When you got a situation where someone has been assaulted, be it male, female, doesn't matter, we have to use the DNA testing. If it's some sort of DNA there, why are we not testing it to see who the guilty party is? It costs less to test for DNA than it does to house that man for 27 years. I'm sure of that. We got to change the system in America. We need to start doing something different. There's too many people that are being locked up for crimes they didn't commit, that they could have been exonerated or either proven guilty by simply going in and use the DNA for what it was there to be used for. Testing people to make sure we got the right people. The lady that was raped and she thought it was this guy, that person that did that, either they got away with that crime, we know they did because he went to jail for it. Now, whether they went out there and sexual assaulted someone else and in prison right now, maybe they is, maybe they aren't. I don't know. Maybe they run their DNA through the system, which they should have done, even though 27 years ago, I guess I could say that there was no DNA testing to that degree. I don't think it was. I don't know. That was a while back. So maybe it wasn't any DNA. It wasn't sophisticated enough to do that back then. But I think as soon as it came about, so I think you still got to go in. But they're not going to do it because they say he was tried and convicted in a court of law, and it's our system, and it's the best one that we have. But man, I don't know. I just worry about that because just like he was arrested and whatever, I don't know the whole case and how it broke down, but I wouldn't want to be in a situation where someone, you know how many times people think they know me? How many times I run across people that literally thought they knew me? Thought they knew me. I've had people that say, hey, did we go to, I know you went to the same college. No, it didn't happen. I've had people that walk up to me and say, hey, I know you. You're my, you're the dentist brother that lives down the street. People really said these things. No, I'm not. I to the point where one time I wondered, what is going on? How does these people associate me and think they know me somehow? And they even have the answer to how they think they know me. They don't just say, you look familiar. They actually start telling you, I know you from so and so. So lady walks up to me one day and she says, in the grocery store, she says, how you doing? I said, I'm doing fine. And she says, and she was talking to me like she knew me. And I said, ma'am, I said, do you think you know me? She said, yeah, you're my neighbor's son. No, ma'am, I'm not your neighbor's son. I have no idea who your neighbor is, but I can assure you I'm not your neighbor's son. Being that my parents are not alive and my parents never lived in Florida, I couldn't be her neighbor's son. And it happens, it used to happen all the time to me early on in my life, and I think about that now because, God forbid, someone almost, one day a crime is committed and they think it's me. And they're convinced that I'm that person. I better have some good alibi. If I don't, I can find myself, and even with alibi, sometimes you can find yourself incarcerated. When all you have to do, if it's a crime that's been perpetrated on that person, especially if it's a sexual assault, just do a DNA. And then they can say, hey, this guy is exonerated. He didn't do it. He wasn't there. It's not his DNA. And let's move on to find the actual criminal. Now, America has to start doing something because there's a lot of people out there. And especially if you're poor. If you're poor, and I'm not trying to be funny, but if you wind up with a court-appointed attorney, you may be in big trouble. If you can't afford a lawyer or 2 or 3, you might be in major trouble. I hate to draw a blanket over court-appointed attorneys because I know some of those people are not bad people, of course, and I think in nature they're all good people. But sometimes they get so bogged down with just all these criminals coming through the system, so they just want to do plea deals with everybody. Man, if you didn't do the crime, you don't really want to be doing no plea deals. That plea could be anything. That judge may not agree with the plea deal, and all of a sudden you done said, hey, I'm guilty, and you out of gas. So that's just my opinion. Tell me what you think. Check me out at youtube.com/RooseveltLive, or send me an email at liveroosevelt@gmail.com.